The No Man's Sky Orbital update is bigger and better than it looks. I've broken the Orbital update down into 8 new things to get excited about, as well as a few little extras worth knowing. Ship scrapping has been given some additional depth with the new ability to choose salvaging 1 of 3 parts from haulers, fighters and explorers, instead of scrapping for valuable salvage. Currently it is only these 3 types, but I expect future updates will bring the rest into the fold. Of course, the quickest advice for gathering these ship parts is that class is not important, so grab the cheapest version of the model you can to save on units, and get the particular part of the ship you want. If you have an S-Class version of the ship and know where you got it, and so have access to more, it is likely preferable to scrap that for salvage over a part, and then use that money to grab multiple C-Class variants. Now for the reason why you would want these parts. Ship customization is one of the biggest parts of this update, and an incredibly long-term tenuous subject for many players. It would actually be better to describe this as custom ship building, as you are not changing an existing ship but building one from parts salvaged from others. The system currently only works for haulers, fighters and explorers, the 3 basic types. You can buy an engine module for several thousand nanites from the ship technology vendor in any station, and get to work finding natural spawning ships with the parts you want, whether they be crash ships or NPC ships flying about to buy. Each of the basic 3 ship types require 3 parts to make. You need fuselage, wings and thrusters for fighters, hull, left and right wings for explorers, and yes, the left and right wings are interchangeable, which is nice as those asymmetrical explorers are not eye candy. And finally, haulers require a cockpit, wings and thrusters. Once you have the parts from the various ships and an engine module, head to the new ship designing terminal at the back of a standard space station and whack them together. You can then decide the colour scheme as well as whether it has a metallic or matte paint job. After clicking assemble, it will give you the option to see the stats and slots before confirming, giving you one last chance to back out and change things. Seeing them implement the system like this is really assuring. It's close but not exactly like the system I've been arguing for over the past several years. I would personally prefer a little more complexity in the design, giving us more options, and while I have always thought the best way to obtain the different parts was by a small percentage chance when fully scrapping the ship for items with a much higher chance of a random part from the scrap ship the higher the class is, I can very much understand and agree to why they've done it this way. Most players aren't like me. They don't want an insane grind with that hard to get but immensely satisfying payoff. They want to chill, and may find my idea of fun a little tedious. Regardless, this system does have some complexity, and as usual, I'm going to go over the top on how every last detail works in a video, so keep an eye out. Trade surges have been added, where randomly selected systems will be in particular need of a specific item, allowing for greater than usual profit. This concept is certainly interesting. Depending on the general increased rate of profit, it may even replace optimized trade routes that are already possible. Though at this stage I'm not sure they can without some level of predictability. I already have some ideas on how to optimize a setup to really take advantage of these surges, so let me know below if you're interested in an OTT guide. Fleet missions have been given a nice bit more depth with improvements to immersion. While out of missions they may contact you to request advice and aid appearing to be warping to them and help them against aggressive foes, while the advice appears to dip back into the derelict freighter kind of eldritch lore. This particular new feature is a little hard to show you examples of in a short time, but the screenshot given implies some kind of viral alien life having taken hold of some of the crew, with the options being to quarantine them or vent them into space. Quarantining an unknown life form could of course prove ineffective, so while a perceived moral good may endanger the rest of the crew, while venting into space will almost certainly keep the rest of the crew safe, is taking the lives of some of your crew, and that may be unnecessary, potentially leading to negative results on the mission or even the frigate's stats itself. It's hard to know just yet the scope of the effects from the choices, but I would imagine they only affect the ongoing mission, and so that mission's rewards. Guilds have had a solid overhaul. You can donate surplus rewards and products to guilds to increase your guild reputations. Having another way to do this is actually really fantastic. Purely grinding out missions to get your guild reputations up to get access to the best missions was a little tedious if a focused effort, or even potentially not a possibility if passive. Not only this, but guild envoys now offer discounted products, with some even being free. This includes such things as S-Class technology upgrades for a little over 200 nanites. This can also be refreshed in stock by reloading, though the free items are usually nothing to get too excited about. Space stations, one of the biggest features of this update, they have undergone dramatic changes. The first and most obvious for those not logging into a station would be the graphically improved and sometimes gargantuan outer shells. Some of these look absolutely epic and the added detail is very welcome. No more coming out of Pulse too close to a station and seeing dull simple textures right away. Moving inside the stations there is now great variety, with the insides now being procedural. They were already procedural to a degree, but it is on such a greater scale now, it's not even close. The three primary system races now have very different architectural styles within stations with a much broader array of parts for the system to pick from. The overall scale of the insides is also just bigger, built with core principles that make navigation more intuitive and pleasant. Graphical improvements to reflections have made reflections better and less resource hungry, or at least more stable, and this isn't just in the new stations, though they are a great place to see it. Vendors now have kiosks with far greater style and individuality. Talking of vendors, technology vendors aboard stations now have a greater stock of different modules, or at least according to the notes. To me, in-game it seems less of a particularly notable increase and more of a balanced stock between the classes, so less C-class and more S-class in general. It's also possible that stock levels are influenced by system strength, but I have little to no basis for this. Another huge change is in reputation-based discounts. Your reputation with the races now influences the cost of their wares. Technology has a direct discount based on your reputation, but that isn't all. To match this, the base prices have been tweaked somewhat, though the overall effect is generally cheaper modules, especially for older saves. It's really nice to see reputation having a real effect in general gameplay. 26 new base building parts consisting of models found in the new space station interiors have been added to the construction terminal in the anomaly. It's pretty great to have access to new in-game assets that we can adorn our bases with, and these are all top tier parts, increasing the already insane variety of base building in No Man's Sky. Server blocks, holographic signs and stands, fuel canisters, crates and cabinets of many kinds, even a billboard and topographical hologram table are in there. Lastly are a few noteworthy additions to the patch that don't fit with the mentioned 8. When using the Transfer More option in various inventories, you'll now be shown only the items to add to the selected stack instead of searching through everything for the same resource. Defeated pirates now drop pirate transponders, which can be donated to the Mercenaries Guild for standing. The Starborn Runner now properly hovers in place within planetary atmospheres. Issues regarding ship placement on docks and landing pads have been fixed, and you should no longer find overseers and farmers etc. in space stations after you've hired them. This last one also has a bit of a negative in my opinion, just as at least some time ago you could rehire these base NPCs, and as each station has a different model for the NPC, this allowed you to either keep going till you found a preferred NPC model or just change it later. Useful for those looking for a particular colour scheme in their base, like I did with my Gek Panda playthrough. This is a pretty big update and came way sooner than expected. The only thing left on my list of wants for No Man's Sky at this point is for player-run alliances or guilds with the ability to own and rebuild abandoned space stations on behalf of said player alliances, complete with their own guild halls and banks that can be used to increase economy strength, decide economy types, and influence and increase vendor stock lists. That could actually be a fun video in itself, a full breakdown of how I would do it if I was HG. Have a great week everyone, enjoy the update.